Hello, everybody, and welcome. We're going to do a very unusual kind of lesson today. And it's not so much that you're going to be able to use this in any kind of musical situation. The next exercise is to develop intense focus. Now, yesterday's lesson, or Monday's lesson rather, was we took the stick control book and we used all the rights for the bass drum and ride cymbal, and all the lefts for the hi-hat. And we put a backbeat on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now that's unusual, kind of. And it's different than used to doing something like so. Always coming to the 1 and 3. 1, 2, back to the downbeat. So we're taking the hi-hat and placing it someplace else. So before I go any further with the new stuff today, what I like to do is ask if there's any questions or any problems with the lesson that you took with me Monday. Okay? Any questions? What I did with that Monday's lesson was I played that pattern over and over again. Like, you can call it a system, and it's a mathematical thing going on right now. And we use the grid meaning to permutate over 1. So what I did is I used the bass drum on the counts of 1 and 3, the E of 1, the E of 3, the and of 1, the and of 3, the da of 1, and the da of 3. Using this pattern. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now, I took that pattern and formulated, or substituted rather, you could say substitute, the stick control book. Stick control book being 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And what I did is I took all the rights and made the rights the ride cymbal, and the lefts the hi-hat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And while I was doing that, I put a 2 and 4 backbeat on the counts of 2 and 4. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I permutated the foot. Now today's lesson, if there is no questions or any problems with that, it's unusual. It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, and consistency. The main ingredient here is control, and control is going to come from doing it slow at first. Don't worry about being fast, because that's ridiculous. You only can play so fast, and then what? Okay, so now today's lesson is we're going to take line 5. And we're going to do the same kind of concept, but the sticking is going to change. Line 5 of the stick control book, page 5, line 5. It's the paradiddle sticking. You have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to take the right hand and play it on the ride cymbal. The R's on the ride and the left's on the hi-hat. So I'm playing a paradiddle between my ride cymbal and my hi-hat. And adding the backbeat on 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on and so forth. Do we understand that so far, gentlemen and ladies and whoever? Please get into the chat so I know who is viewing. It's telling me there's quite a few people in here. It'd be nice to you to be come forward, be recognized, and say hello, Matt. Make new friends, ask some questions. Anybody, please, hello. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, and this is going to be slow. You're going to take that pattern, And you're going to do a 16th note count, a 16th note formation. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. I'm sorry, 4 E, 4 E and you distracted me there, Fred. I seen something come up on the screen. That's okay. That just reinforces what I'm saying about focus. Your whole mind has to be clear. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and. All right, we're playing the paradiddle between the ride cymbal and the hi-hat. And 2 and 4 on the snare. Now, I'm not going to play it fast. It's difficult. It's unusual. And like I said in the beginning of the lesson, perhaps you're not going to be able to use something like this in a musical situation playing commercialized music. The object here is, it's actually a lesson in focus. As soon as you become distracted and you go away from this pattern, you're going to fall down. What I mean by falling down is become a train wreck. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to do it slow, and I'm going to put the bass drum now just on the count of 1 and 3. And I'm going to count 16ths. 1, E, and, 2, E, and, 3, E, and, 4, E, and, Now, I did not think about anything but what I'm doing. And how you doing, Ross? And you're not going to get a lot of speed at first because it's an unusual situation with the coordination. It's a coordination exercise. It's presenting to you what you're weak on. And when you realize what you're weak on, well, it's up to you to make it stronger. So we'll do it again. The bass drum is going to be on 1 and 3. I'm adding what you want to call a grid, or I'm permutating the bass drum. Only between the distance of 1 and 3, because I'm referencing from the Pattern series, Gary Shafee's Time Functioning. And that's page 11. So let's do it again, nice and slow. 1, E, and, 2, E, and, 3, E, and, 4, E, and again. 1, yeah. Ready? Here we go. 1, E, and, 2, E, and, 3, E, and, 4, E, and. So I'm maintaining the paradiddle between the hi-hat and the ride cymbal. And 2 and 4. So on and so forth. Do we understand where I'm coming from? This is not easy. This is extremely difficult. Do we understand it, gentlemen? Any questions? You know, it seems easy. You should have the PDF. You're reading it off the PDF, and it looks simple, but try it. It's unusual. So you need a intense focus here, and that's what this lesson is about. Other than as you develop the speed and you're going to start to hear some funk, and you can move the voicings around. Like the right hand, instead of playing the right hand, ouch, ow, ow, ow. On the ride cymbal, you can play it on the hi-hat. You have 1 E and, you hear that? 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Any questions, gentlemen? No response. Everybody's at work or on their iPhone. Now, with this whole kind of substitution, if you really want to get crazy, you could do all of stick control. And every one has its own personality, own character, and has a purpose. You understand it, right, Ed? Playing it is another world. You need, the whole ingredient here is to do it slow, very slow. All right, so that's the bass drum now on the count of 1 and 3. Let's move the bass drum over one more to the E of 1 and the E of 3, and again, slow. Here we go. 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E. Oh, my microphone fell. Ah, excuse me. Ah, where'd it go? Hold on. Can you hear me clearly? Can you hear me talking? It's kind of difficult. Can you gentlemen hear me? We're now on the E of 1 and the E of 3, nice and slow. 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and again I'm distracted. That's what I'm talking about. 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and the 1 on the E. Sorry, 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E. Mistake. The 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and the. This is not easy. And I'm being distracted by the cameras and everything. Hold on. I'm going to do the E of 1 and the E of 3. 1. And I'm going to close my eyes, and I don't care what you guys say. 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and the 1, E, and the 2, E, and the 3, E, and the 4, E, and the. That's how slow you need to do it. And that's on the E of 1 and the E of 3. Then we're going to move over to the and of 1 and the and of 3. Now there becomes some sort of what you want to call layered kind of playing, meaning the voice is going to hit at the same time on the and. So I have 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and again the 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. So that takes care of the 1, the E, and the and. Next is the da. Now we'll not try these fast. I'm doing them. I will. I have a timer, and what I do is I haven't really practiced in a couple of days here because I've been doing a lot of other things other than practicing. I'm bad, so I apologize for that. Anyway, we're going to go to the da. Eventually, you want to do is instead of just the E, the 1, you want to go to the E of 2, the and of 3, and the da of 4 over and over again, so you maintain the grid. We didn't do the 2 and anything between 2 and 4 yet. I'm just going to do the four principal things that I want to do today on the 1 and 3, the E of 1, the E of 3, the and of 1, the and of 3, the da of 1, the da of 3, slow. It's a lesson in focus. What I do is, like I said before, I have a timer, and I'll sit here slowly and play line 1 for 2 minutes. I feel good about it, or if I don't feel good about it, I'll do it another 2 minutes. Only when I feel good about it will I move over, instead of the 1 and 3, to the E of 1 and the E of 3 for 2 or 3 minutes. When I feel good about both of them, I'll play the 1 and 3, the E of 1, the E of 3 for another 2 or 3 minutes. And I'll move on with all of them. Oh, boy. Hold on. Okay. Do you gentlemen like this kind of lesson, or I can move on to something else? Does this interest you to develop focus? You didn't hear that, huh? Okay. I'm playing on this exercise. I'm playing the ride cymbal, and what is that? Hold on. This thing. What I'm doing is I'm playing the ride cymbal and the hi-hat. I should use the other ride cymbal. Well, you could do it, Fred. You could do this with the whole stick control book. And you want to talk about intense coordination and intense focus? Be my guest. Anyway, we're going to take line 5 of the stick control book, Ross, and we're taking the paradiddle instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Didn't I say Ed? I'm sorry. Okay, so now I'm taking line 5 of the stick control book. Instead of playing it on the snare, I'm taking my right, making all R's become the ride cymbal. All L's become the hi-hat. So here's what I have. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'm using my heel ups because I'm using the squashing method to make it a closed chick sound. And I'm playing the snare drum on the counts of 2 and 4. I'm playing light so you can hear it. You can hear that hi-hat. I don't have a mic over here. I'm sorry. But does that help you out, Mr. Russ? And whoever else is watching, please get in the chat. Say hello. From what I understand, if you're viewing the lesson on a phone or an Android or iPod, it's hard you're not able to get into the chat. If you're going to if you're going to watch the video or the lesson, get on a computer, get on a laptop, get on a tower that allow you in. You have to have an account, I believe, as well. I'm not certain. But do you understand it, Russ? Is that going to help you? Can you hear it? And for the new guys that just have come in, the lesson that we did Monday was we took line 1 and we did the same interpretation. We made all R's equal the ride cymbal and all L's equal the snare drum. I mean the hi-hat. And we placed the 2 and 4 on the snare drum. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. So all I'm doing now, instead of doing line 1, I moved down to line 5. I used all the R's as the ride cymbal, all the L's as the hi-hat. 1 and it's the backbeat. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I also gave some variations, and you could add a little bit of color. Instead of playing the snare, you could cross the stick over. On line, this is line 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, for those who say line 1, doing it that way was a little difficult, hang out with this line I'm giving you now. Makes line 1 a piece of cake. And that's one of the objectives. Something you don't know, something that you're weak on, is to make it stronger. And it helps in other areas. That whatever you're weak on in other areas, it makes it stronger. So, with that paradiddle, it's the same thing. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and you can take the cross stick. And there's a few other variations. You can use the bell of the cymbal, or you can use a mallet on the floor tom-tom. It takes on a whole different kind of texture. But before you move it around, get this one down. Like I didn't get a response. I got one from you, Ed, and you know it's interesting. You know, there's, like I said, it's not. You probably would never use it in a playing situation. The objective for the lesson itself is to develop some intense focus and to make yourself aware of where you're weak coordination-wise. It's not about speed, it's about control. Eventually, as you play these over and over again, they're going to start getting smoother and smoother, and you're going to start hearing things. I don't mean like, yeah, they're coming to take me away kind of shit. I mean, like musically, you're going to start to hear patterns that maybe you were having some difficulty with, and they're inside of here. You'll hear them. And helps you in other areas. The object is focus, and wherever you're weak is to take it apart and make it stronger. Do we all agree with that? Mr. Ross, Mr. Ed? It's not an easy lesson. It's about focus. Anyway, I have a drum camp coming up in July. Anybody who is interested, it's on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Drum intensive, hand technique, coordination exercises, reading, practice procedures, you know, whatever it might be. If you're interested in the camp itself, that would be great. Give me a holler on my email. We all know my email, and for those who don't, I'm going to put it in there right now. And whoever wants the PDFs for today, we're only taking the PDFs 4 different ways. That's the basic of this, and we're going to expand on all of this stuff the whole month of June. Here's my email. If you're interested in coming to New Jersey for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I might even have a guest artist do a day, considering maybe Daniel Glass or Mike Clark. Not certain yet. They have to see what their schedule is. So if anybody's interested, give me a holler on my email. Is there any questions on what we did today? What's the objective? And talk to me. Whoever's not in the chat, get in the chat. Don't be shy. You're a drummer. You got to be crazy. Tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my site. It's all free for a while. Hey, Ed and Ross, do you like this kind of exercising? I don't mean to bore you and punish you with all this difficulty kind of stuff, all this hard work. But man, it's worth it. I mean, Buddy Rich and Joe Merle, they never did stuff like this. You know, they played the music. And you know, and well, Morello did a lot of this stuff. Well, Ed, the thing is to do it slow, real slow. The slower you do it, the stronger your focus and coordination will become. And once you get it flowing, you can pick up the speed somewhat. It gets very confusing. And that's what coordination is. You're developing coordination so you don't get confused. You have control of your left foot, your right hand, and your left hand. Okay, with all that being said, and all the people who are watching and didn't come into the chat, hello, and now I have to say goodbye. So the lesson tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's my site. Okay, and if you're interested in doing the drum camp in July, email me, and I'll give you the details, the cost, and the dates. Okay, gentlemen. Well, if you do it, all right, that's a good one, Ed, with a click. I used to say you click, metronome, the same thing. What I do with the click, for example, I'll put it on, I'll do it first without the metronome, just to say hello, what's going on. I feel good about it. I get into control. What is this? You're welcome, Russ. What I do with the metronome, and I'm going to give a lesson on the metronome one day or make a video on how to use the metronome, my approach to using the metronome. Like I said, if I was doing 60, I don't have the metronome hooked up, but just say 60 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's slow. So to up it a little bit, the practice is to get into this. And here's 60. I would make every click or every tick a count as 1, E, and, the, so on and so forth. Now, being that slow, you have no choice. You better concentrate. Your mind better not wander, and you better focus in on what you're doing. When I do stuff like this and I practice, I lock the door in my studio, I disconnect the phone, I turn on the click, and the whole world goes away, except for what I'm doing. Now, I told my daughter that one time. I said, her name is Bella, and I said, Bella, when you're practicing or you're trying something new, the whole world goes away. Well, her response to me was, well, if the whole world goes away, there's nothing to do. You have to laugh at these kids. That's a beautiful statement. It's true, but you know what I mean, the older guys. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to close down. Ross and Ed and whoever else, please come to tonight's lesson. My website's there. Or if you haven't signed my guest book, please sign the guest book. Say, hello, Matt, you suck or something. But thanks for the lesson. You're making me crazy. I'm getting dizzy with all this coordination stuff. Okay, gentlemen, have a good afternoon. And whoever wants to come tonight at 8:30, it's open, it's free. You're all welcome to view the lesson. And please, get into the chat. Good, Ed. It's going to be basically the same lesson, but maybe I'm going to expand a little bit on it, or maybe do something else with it. Okay? Remember, my site, mattpatellallivelessons.com. And if anybody is interested in going to the drum camp in July that I'm putting on, please email me, mattpatella1001@gmail.com. And for those who do not have the PDF on this lesson today, email me and I'll send it to you. With that being said, I'm going to say have a good rest of the day, and we'll see whoever comes tonight. And Ed, I might put a click on tonight, okay?